Hello, everybody. Welcome to our live. I'm joined by two lovely ladies. I can say that. I'm still of an age where I can say things like that, I think.
No one's called me a lovely lady for years, Mark. Well, unless they were taking the piss out of me, you know.
Well, no, you have to be careful these days. You never know. You can always say anything wrong when you give anyone a label of any sort. So, but I'm joined by Roz from Scallydangling About the Books and Alice from the Giant Bookshelf. So, welcome, girls.
Hi.
See, girls have gone down now. You see, even worse.
Oh no, I'm not having that.
That's it. I'm cancelled. I'm off. So, are we excited? It's tomorrow.
Yes,
tomorrow. Yeah,
tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. my time. I guess it's 8 a.m. your time. The first game.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. I don't know how many. When I sort of, it dawned on me that half of the time I'm not going to be able to see anything because I'll be at work.
Yeah.
Presumably the same for both of you.
Or... No, not for me. No. I'm in 2 months summer holidays. I'm literally hanging out all day.
Yeah.
So unfair.
I'll be all right, but I'm not going to be getting up at 2 a.m. for the 2 a.m. games.
So I can imagine, I'll be able to imagine the two of you having like a nice cup of tea, toast, jam, and football while I stomp to work.
Oh dear.
Feeling grumpy. I can listen. I can surreptitiously listen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think a lot of the news sites probably have like that live. You can watch at least the text, so that you can see
live text commentary.
Things like that. But then tomorrow, the first game is New Zealand and Norway, I think, isn't it?
At 8 a.m. I could catch a bit with my early morning, my breakfast cup of tea, couldn't I? Before.
Oh, there you go.
Do we think there's going to be an opening ceremony as well before 8 o'clock?
Oh.
Yeah, there should be. I think. Yeah, I would imagine there would be. Be a bit unfair if there wasn't, I guess.
Yeah.
It's interesting that New Zealand get the first game because they're a bit like the junior partner, aren't they, in the hosting stakes?
I don't know about the playing stakes, though. Do you? I mean, have you read up on them? Are they?
I'm not sure.
I mean, they're not. In theory, they're the third-ranked team in their group. Right. But I have a strong feeling that home advantage will pay off and that they'll make it through because like Norway are meant to be the strongest, but I can't see and then Switzerland, but surely home advantage will get New Zealand through.
You see, there's one of the things I do like about football is that things can really take a turn during these major competitions because it's not like my first love, rugby, where in the end, you're pretty sure that if, you have a big team versus a small team, the big teams, you can be 90% sure the big team's going to win,
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas in football, anything, one own goal, whatever, anything can happen, one deflection.
Or a key, like a bad decision or an unexpected injury, all those things can flip it, can't they?
Definitely. So we got some comments. Let's go through them. Where's Consuela? Looking forward to this. Thank you. Readers Retreat. Hello, everyone. Spread Book Joy.
Hi, Jack.
Aaron's here. Hello. Jack's very excited, so that's good. Stephanie, unfortunately, yes, I was thinking about.
I just want to say, Jack's always very excited. I don't think it's about football.
But I was just thinking that, Stephanie. Yeah, the games are super early or super late for you guys in the Eastern US. So that is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, it's much worse for over there, as it were. Yeah, why am I grumbling that it's like 8 o'clock in the morning?
Which is kind of funny, really, because I mean, it's one of the bigger women's football markets, isn't it, really?
I noticed that 2 of the USA games are at 2 a.m. our time, so I'm wondering if that's a good time for the US or not.
Yeah,
well, 6 hours back, isn't it, from the east side? Well, from me, so I guess 5 hours for you at the moment, isn't it? I think
Not sure.
something like that. So it's probably something like 9 p.m. for them, 8 p.m. maybe in the US. So that might be a reason.
Yeah.
Yes, it does suck indeed. Let's see.
Definitely.
Yes, Mark, looking forward to finding out whoever the dark horse may be in the tournament. There's always a smaller team that does well and everyone roots for.
Yes, and then we get behind, the giant killer, don't we? That is, yes.
This is what I love about tournament football. It's just the best kind of football.
For sure. For sure. And do you have any predictions who you think the dark horse might be?
I don't know, to be honest. I'm prepared to be surprised.
I'd like to see Vietnam do well. That would be interesting. And it feels like they've got a better chance than, say, somewhere like the Philippines. That some more. And also, like, you always want to see an African team do well in a tournament, don't you? Because that football is so important in so many African countries. So it's that it's going to be really meaningful.
I mean, they're quite often underachievers, I guess, in that respect, because I remember, years back when you had Cameroon, always, they always looked really good, or they got to somewhere and then, messed it up. Nigeria was another one that used to do so. I mean, I remember Nigeria once on paper looked amazing, and yet, flat at tournaments. So,
yeah. I mean, the Moroccan men's team is strong, but I'm not sure that the women's team, I mean, they don't get the same investment, do they? Even in this country, let alone somewhere like that. So, we shall see.
Yeah. No, it is. It's interesting, the whole thing with women's sport in this, because I was listening to the cricket today. I don't know if anyone else is a cricket fan, but and I love Test Match Special. I love listening to it on the radio. I think it should be something enshrined in like a kind of national treasure status that can never be changed. But it's interesting now they actually bring in female commentators and they talk more about the women's game, even while the men's game is going on. And of course, they had the women's Ashes running side by side with the men's, and they were talking about the need for. The only way they can really improve is by doing things like making the game professional, and this kind of thing to bring it out. And I don't know, football in the UK for women is professional.
Yeah.
It is a full-time job.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I was wondering if anyone in the comments had suggested a potential giant killer.
Let's go through.
And Jack said she'd like Vietnam to do well, but I think that's because they're her team.
Vietnam, yeah. Aaron says, kickoff time for Lionesses on Saturday is 10:30 a.m. Well, that's all right, isn't it, for a Saturday? You've still got time to pop out to Sainsbury's or wherever and come back. Because I don't know if you guys shop on a Saturday morning, but in my family, it was always Saturday morning, head to Sainsbury's. Or wherever other supermarkets are available.
I go and do park run on a Saturday morning, 9 o'clock Saturday morning. I'm running around my local park with 300 other people. But so there we go. But I can be back in time for a 10:30 kickoff, so that's all right.
300 people every week?
Yeah, well, no, 500 some weeks.
My goodness.
Wow. It's huge here.
My goodness. And it's a new thing, or?
It's been going about 15 years.
Okay.
I've been doing it for about 9, I think, maybe 10. Yeah. Anyway, there we go. That's my concession to sport. I was just looking at. There's a little couple of comments about books from Colombia, and Deborah said. Looked up Colombian women authors, and there were 3 Poor Clare nuns on the list. That's brilliant. I want to know more. So they're like nuns from Colombia that have written books, presumably.
Interesting.
Most intriguing.
Poor Clare nun is a. I had the word before I started speaking. It's a type of nun.
Yeah.
like a Benedictine or something like that?
Yes,
or...
yes. So they were founded by St. Clair or what, you know what I mean? And yeah.
They're called Poor Clares.
The Poor Clares.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, in fact, I shouldn't know this as a non-Catholic, non-whatever. I think that it was St. Francis of Assisi. He set up the Franciscan Friars, and I think that there was a particular woman he had like a female follower who then set up the Poor Clares to be like the female equivalent of the Franciscans, I think. But someone else can correct me. There we go. And Aaron says he saw the nuns, but he couldn't find them on Kindle.
Fair enough.
Just not trying hard enough. Should have prayed more.
So he started Lara Restrepo for Colombia. And Elizabeth just confirms the early games for the eastern part of the of North America, 10 p.m. and the late game is 6 or 7 a.m. So, 10 p.m. It's quite late, isn't it? Really? I mean, if you've got to work and stuff, maybe. I mean, you're not getting much change out of midnight. So, yeah. Sorry.
Well, I was just thinking, like Aaron said, that what book he started. Have you two started your books already? What do you want?
Well, I couldn't really decide on my Danish author, so I thought I would go with like the classic Danish. Can't get it into the picture. Hans Andersen. So I'm thinking there's 42 stories in here. I've borrowed this from my mum, and how many stories I read is going to depend on how well Denmark do, I think. So if they keep losing, then I'm gonna read less stories, frankly.
Yeah. When you said you were going for the classic Danish author, I thought you were going to say Karen Blixen, Isaac Dinesen.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
She's like the one Danish author that everyone's heard of, but of course Hans Christian Andersen.
I went back even further than that.
Nice.
Because I read that during the Euros was the Babette's Feast, because it's I don't know, 30 pages or something. It was great. That's I was going to say Donna Blitzen, but it's Karen Blitzen.
Karen Blitzen.
That's not her real name either, is it? She has. Oh no, maybe that's her real name.
That is her real name. Well, she's Baroness something von Blixen. Yeah. Weirdly, she's dead now. But my one of my sisters-in-law, Karen Blixen, was like a cousin, of hers, and she was taken to meet her when she was a child, and she was a very scary old lady, apparently.
But she had a pen name though.
Isaac Dinesen.
That's it.
Isaac Dinesen, that's the pen name.
Yeah. I was getting it wrong way around.
Yeah.
I couldn't decide. I mean, I pulled out a load of Japanese books, and one of them was Convenience Store Girl. I was looking at. It seemed rather interesting. I can't remember the author, but I'm struggling to finish.
Is it good?
Yeah. Convenience Store Woman. Who was the author of that? I've forgotten now. It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Well, maybe
it's quite short as well, I think.
Yeah, that was something I was looking at. And then my kind of fallback, which is really short, because half of it's like this amount is like the introduction, right? Only, so it's quite short. And it's the diary of Lady Murasaki, the author of Tale of Genji. Tale of Genji, rather. So that's my backup. If I feel I can't finish Convenience Store Woman. Sorry, I know I said girl, didn't I? Convenience Store Woman, because I'm struggling to finish. I'm trying to finish like 2 big books at the moment before things get in. Gone with the Wind and something else, which I've forgotten.
You're obviously making really good progress with that one.
What is it? It's not that big. What is it? The Dreaming Suburb by R.F. Delderfield. Yeah, it's not that big.
Oh, Delderfield.
Yeah, Sayaka Murata wrote that. That's what Jack's mentioned in the comments.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
It's a really good book. I enjoyed it.
Falling behind. What about you, Roz?
So I've started, I thought I've try and read something by all 4 countries in my initial group. But so I've started my own country and one other, and so my country's Portugal, and I'm reading The Migrant Painter of Birds by Lydia. Well, I'll say Lydia George, but it actually, you know what Portuguese is like. It's, everything's a bit shushy in Portuguese. But and yeah, it's odd, but I think good. I'm about a third of the way through, and like, you know, those books where like the first few chapters you're thinking, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure about this, or no, I'm not getting, and then it kind of gets into its stride, and you think, oh no, this is great, I'm going to enjoy it. Yeah, not a writer that I knew, but someone in the group suggested her as a Portuguese woman author of note. So,
and what was the other one? You said you were going to read 2.
Oh, I've also started Wandering Souls by Cecile Pan. So that's Vietnam. Yeah,
that's a good book, Ross.
Oh, good. Well, I read the first chapter walking to work and was like crying already. I was thinking, this is not one to read as you in public.
No, maybe not in public.
That's tough, isn't it? When you start a book, but when a book starts off making you cry.
Yeah, we're used to getting that at the end, aren't we? But
yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. It's yeah. I'm hoping it might go up from here.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to. It would be a real spoiler to say what happens at the end of the first chapter. But it's a heartbreaking start.
Yeah, it's very sad very quickly, that one.
Yeah.
And it's Vietnamese. She's a Vietnamese author.
Yes, but she left as a child, like so many people. And it's sort of, one presumes it's not exactly autofiction, but it's drawing on her experiences.
What's the name of it?
Wandering Souls.
Alice, you say, because you've actually read the whole thing, yeah.
Wandering Souls.
Wandering Souls.
It was on the Women's Prize for Fiction long list.
Ah, okay. Because I read a couple of years ago, actually probably more than that, a book by, I've forgotten her name, The Girl in the Picture. Do you know it? You know, the famous picture of the young girl in the Vietnam War that's running down the street. So it's her life story, and that was brilliant. Actually, I really enjoyed it. Well, I mean, obviously it was sad as well, but so what have we got here? Smart move, Alice. There you go. I'm really looking forward to The Mountain Sing, which is on my TBR anyway. We just mentioned that one. Aaron, if I lose to Portugal, I will also eat a pastel de nata as punishment.
Punishment?
Oh, that sounds like a lovely punishment.
Oh, yes.
And we all have a pastel de nata.
Better still, can I go to like Lisbon to eat it?
Yes, please.
I mean, they're lovely. Jack's a bit embarrassed to say she doesn't know whether I read more or less if my team win. Nothing to do with all of you, just haven't got my brain around it. If your team win, then you read less. Yeah. You only have to read your team as long as they keep winning, and as soon as they lose, you have to read something from the other team. So what have we got here? I've been reading Wandering Souls and loved it. I read Wandering Souls. Does that count for me?
Oh, definitely.
I think Jack read that quite a little while ago, so I'm not sure it does count, but counts it.
Don't grass her up, Alice. and Deborah's just finished it last night.
Yeah, I just saw that. Everybody's been reading it. I feel I'm out of the loop here.
You
are. Jack envies the punishment there. Alan's here. Hey, Alan.
Hi, Alan. Hi.
And you'll seek out. Yeah, I think you'll like it. I mean, it was good because it's one of those just absolute iconic images, isn't it? And I often wondered, as a kid, I used to see it on. I think it was because I grew up in Bermuda, so we had a lot of American television, and I want to say it was like on the opening montage of something like maybe 60 Minutes or one of these reporting shows. And I always used to think, say to my parents, what is this? Or it's so sad, or I wonder what happened to her. And then, of course, when the book came out, I was able to read it and find out. So it's kind of nice. And and is this something you'll be watching with your families, the games and stuff? I mean, are they your other halves into women's football?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be forced to watch some
Yeah, well,
when he's not working.
Yeah. It was my other half that got me interested in football, as a whole, as it were. So, he jolly well, should chip in. No, we both really, like so many people, we both really enjoyed watching the Euros, the women, and that really kind of having access to it the way we did for that tournament, and all the matches, that it just built a kind of level of familiarity and enthusiasm
And my mum's quite excited about it. I've just been round to my mum's today. She's ready for the tournament, ready to get up and watch tomorrow. So
she's not going to read something for it, though. You haven't given her a country.
I've tried to convince her, but she just wants to read what she wants to read, I think. She's very busy with Jane Austen July at the moment.
Oh, okay.
I had to get Jane Austen July out of the way early. I'm all done with Jane Austen July, so I can focus on this.
It's kind of nice when you get family members involved in booktube events, because I know you've had your husband involved. I think is it Faulkner in August? I've seen some of your videos.
Yes. Steve always gets involved in Faulkner in August, and Tilly, my daughter, we always do Jane Austen July together, as it were. Yeah,
because my mum's in. I don't know if you watch Carrie from Very Literary Carrie, but my mum's in her Black Hearts Book Club on Instagram. So she's often joining in for the reads. It's kind of funny, being there, because sometimes I leave a message. I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I, talking about. Oh, I forgot. My mum's listening to this. Yes.
So,
what have we got here from Nancy? Hey, Nancy. For Vietnam, I recommend a graphic novel memoir, Vietnam America: A Family's Journey, by G.B. Tran.
That sounds good.
I'll look for that.
I like a graphic novel memoir.
I really love it. I just read one for Costa Rica, thinking that someone in the Costa Rica recommended in the Costa Rica, the bit on Discord where people are recommending books, because I'm doing my scally dandle around the world, reading a book from every country, and I hadn't yet read a book from Costa Rica, and someone mentioned this. It's Memories of Limon by Ido Brenes, and he's Costa Rican who now lives in the UK, and it's sort of about going back and interviewing his relatives and getting his family history. And I really enjoyed it. So who knows what will happen, but in my head I'm thinking, if I could read a book or a short story or something by all 32 teams, I will be really happy.
Very
I'm kind of we'll see. You can check out later as to whether I make it. I've got quite a few short, potential short stories lined up for countries, so that aren't in the, we'll see. Yeah.
Go for it, Roz. I'll be cheering you on for that.
Yeah, that's a wonderful achievement. What about like the Pacific Islanders and islands and things like that, Roz? Have you read much? Have you read much in those areas?
No. I mean, I was going to say most of the teams, the countries that are in this tournament are relatively doable. Panama is a bit harder. There's a few that are a bit harder, but now for the whole challenge as a whole, I've got about 3 more countries that I've definitely got a book for. Eswatini, Swaziland, and Tajikistan, and North Macedonia. And then the last like 14 after that are all, they're all things like Pacific Islands or micro, they're places like Liechtenstein or San Marino, or places like Kiribati and the sites. So they're going to be tough, but
because I was wondering, I was thinking of doing. I probably won't because I'll be back at school and I don't think there'll be as much interest. But I wanted to do something like this around the Rugby World Cup, and of course they have some overlap in terms of countries, but then quite a lot of countries that are different. I'm just looking at who's qualified. I mean, obviously New Zealand, France, Italy, it's quite easy. Uruguay would be maybe okay, I guess, but Namibia would probably be quite difficult, wouldn't it, to find?
Oh, I can recommend a good short novel by a woman from Namibia if you want one. The Purple Violet of Ashanto. I'll really good.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
and then obviously South Africa, Ireland, Scotland's easy. Romania is fairly easy. Tonga.
No, I'm struggling with Tonga.
Wales, Australia, Fiji.
Oh, now I think I have read something from Fiji. I'll give me a moment and I'll let you know.
Oh, yeah. I'm just curious while we were discussing this. So, Georgia, I guess everybody could ask Jim. I'm sure he could have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Portugal, England, Japan, Argentina. That's probably easy enough. Samoa.
Argentina's dead easy. Oh yes, Samoa is doable.
That would be doable. And the last one, because obviously the Rugby World Cup is much smaller. The last country would be Chile.
Oh well, and that's an easy one, isn't it? Yeah. Let me think now. What was?
It's funny. We've got a lot of audience in from the West Country, so words can inspire there. Saying we're uplifting an otherwise boring evening in Cornwall.
Oh, I like that.
Of course, Jack's going on. It's a quiet evening in Devon.
Oh.
If my mum was watching, they live in Somerset, so it would have been quite nice kind of West Country broadcast. Just leaving out Dorset.
Fiji, yes. Fiji, The River by Paulini Turagabeki. It was a bit religious.
Okay.
Actually. Not, I mean, give me Dante or something, that's okay. But it was more like, when someone writes a modern novel that's a bit preachy. So I wouldn't recommend it. Whereas the one from Namibia, I really would. It was a good book, well worth reading. Well worth anyone's time to read. Yeah,
I wonder because, I should look at things like the Cricket World Cup. That could bring up some interesting countries as well, I imagine.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. Oh. So, you've just settled on Denmark for now. You're quite confident in them, are you, Alice? You haven't
I'm just hopeful.
Anything from your other groups, or
perpetually hopeful that that Denmark will do well, but not better than England, obviously. That's the problem in my group. I can't really fully root for Denmark. But no, I actually think that China are a very strong team. I've heard.
China's a strong team, aren't they?
I will be looking out for recommendations for a book from China. I'm not so worried about Haiti. I might be being harsh. They might be our dark horse of the tournament, but
I mean, they're in terms of world rankings, they're not as low as all that, if you know what I mean. Yeah, but in your group, no, I'm sure you're right. It's got to be England and either Denmark or China that go through, hasn't it? And
with Jack having dubbed that group the group of death, I'm pretty certain. Well, I'm not certain. Now, you can never be certain in tournament football, can you? But I would be surprised if I needed to read a book from Haiti. But come back next week and I probably would have been proved wrong.
I suppose the nice thing is that it's probably not too difficult to get hold of poems.
No.
From these kind of places. So I mean, you could just throw in a poem, which wouldn't be too bad.
It was quite a good article I read about different authors who were both from Haiti and Haitian American authors. So there is quite a selection of books. I don't whether I can actually get hold of them. I don't know, but because I'm trying to keep it on the back burner. But there is a very helpful article that I can share if anybody was looking for Haiti books.
Yes. Alan's asking whether Ireland are expected to sort of perform well in the tournament, which is a good question. Anyone know much about? I think in there they've got they're one of the hosts groups, aren't they? Australia have to go through, don't they? And Canada's in that group, and
I mean their group looks like it would be Canada and Australia, but you never can predict these things.
I mean,
I think they'll do all right.
Thing is, I think it's Australia's obviously got the home advantage there for them as well, other than the fact they're pretty good. But I think at least those three teams. Who's the fourth team in the group?
Nigeria.
I mean, you see, you take away the home advantage. I would say that it would be pretty close between all of them, maybe.
I mean, they're all strong, in the sort of Yeah.
There's no one who's like. It's not like one of these severe underdog situations. That's
no.
Exactly.
What we got? Elizabeth, go Italy. I've read 2 books for Italy. Wow. In my group, the threat is Sweden. So I have a book by a Swedish author planned just in case, but it's set in Italy. Well, that works out. So I'll still be supporting Italy.
Brilliant. I like it. I like it. I like the style, Elizabeth.
Stephanie, you read your England pick. What was it, out of curiosity? Did you go down the Jane Austen route, or? And you've read Denmark, the Employees by Olga Raven. Sure.
Interesting. I haven't read that. Is it good? I want more from Stephanie.
Jenny's here from Scotland. She's hoping the Scottish do better than the Scottish girls do better than the boys. Lavin's here.
They're not in the tournament. They didn't make it in. I'll find, the Namibia. I can put it in the chat, can't I? I'll need to just.
Well, just do you have the name? I can write it now for you if you text. Do you know the name of it?
Yeah, it's the Purple Violets of Ashantu or Ashanto. Hang on. But I'll give you the name of the author as well.
Ashantu. I wonder if it's like Ashanti, because I know
Ashantu. So two A's, and then U at the end. Ashantu, and the author is, where are we? I've got to remember. Neshani Andreas. So Neshani, and then her surname's Andreas.
Andreas. Nashani or Nashani with an R?
Nashani with an A. And the super cool thing was I did a Scully Dandy video about it, saying how much I'd enjoyed it. And like a couple of months later, someone came on and commented and said, "That's my auntie's book."
Oh, that's cool.
It's one of those things in countries like Namibia where it's she's white, is she?
No.
Oh, she's not.
No.
Okay. No. I would have been less surprised had she been white, because the community, in the white community, for example, in Namibia is so small that it's the same with like Zambia. People be like, it's my third cousin.
Yeah, no. This but actually, Namibia is one of those countries that's really sparsely populated.
Yeah.
So it's not that small.
It's a small population anyway.
It's really small population anyway. So yeah.
What have we got here? So Alan will be watching that group. Jenny, of course, they didn't. If these games were around alcohol, we'd win every time.
Are you Scottish, Jenny?
Yes, she is. Yeah.
That's all right then. We will let you get away with that. You can be rude about your own country as much as you like.
The Irish girls have done better than the lads.
True. Yeah,
but I'm not sure, Jenny, you would win the drinking games, because I think the Czech Republic would have something to say about that. I mean, I don't know if you watched Wimbledon, the women's Wimbledon final, and what's her name, Vondroshkova, the winner was Czech, and they said to her, what do you plan to do this evening? And her first answer was to drink a beer. So, you know. Love and thanks. Doing around the world and haven't looked at anything from Namibia yet.
Well,
yeah. It'd be interesting. Now, China, have you got anything lined up, Alice, or are you just going to go through the Discord and...
I haven't actually got anything lined up yet. I suppose that is short-sighted. I have been putting all of my eggs in the Denmark basket. But yeah, I'm sure by... Is it Denmark-China weekend, actually?
It's their first game, I think.
Yes. So by Saturday, I'll know whether I'm looking for a China book.
One thing I've noticed is that there's quite a few short stories around from China.
Yeah.
You know, like different countries have different writing traditions, and and like China's somewhere where you can definitely pick up a short story.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, you know what you could do, Alice? This has come to me. Is if you're reading, why not read fairy tale? Why not make a project and read fairy tales from all these countries? Because you can get, I know you can definitely get Japanese fairy tales. And she's giving me an idea. I might read that instead. But you can get a lot of this from the public domain as well, because of these Victorians, these reviled Victorians did go out and write books about all the fairy tales from these places, and even then you can get them. So it would be kind of interesting, maybe.
That would be very interesting.
Chinese fairy tales and
folk
tales, fairy tales, that kind of thing.
Yeah, haven't ever actually done anything towards it, but I've always been quite interested in reading fairy tales from different places. So sounds like a good shout.
Well, because they're quite short, aren't they? I mean, that's it,
And I have found myself reading some collections of folk tales for the Read Around the World thing. And what is interesting is how certain sort of almost like archetypes turn up in the folk tales or fairy tales of different cultures.
Yeah.
Like the trickster. The trickster comes up again and again, the person who's it might be a person or an animal, but they're like they get away with things and play tricks on people, and and the wicked stepmother, poor old stepmothers, they come up in every culture.
Well, because I'm sure, unless I'm misremembering, but I'm sure even the Chinese have like a version of Cinderella.
Yeah.
Like an almost independently created version of Cinderella.
Yeah, and it's the wicked stepmother story comes up again and again. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's one of those things I never understood. Like, now am I wrong? You see, I don't know now. But in pantomime, Aladdin is Chinese, isn't it? I know it's Arabian Nights, but when you think about it, isn't it? Don't we have like a Chinese Aladdin when we have it as a pantomime in England? Like Widow Twanky and all this stuff. It's from Aladdin, and it's a laundry, and I'm sure that it's somehow kind of signified, if that's a word.
That's fascinating. It never crossed my mind. I always think of it as just being in this world of its own. That is like Pantoland. That's its own rules. Fascinating.
Yeah, I might have to look that up. What have we got then? Okay. Stephanie did read Northanger Abbey for Jane Austen July, which she loved, but my England pick was Fireworks, a collection of short stories by Angela Carter. I like The Employees. It's sci-fi.
Angela Carter.
Our women's Portland Thorns over here are very... so Portland Thorns football team.
Yeah.
It's a nice name, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Jack last time was talking about like all the lovely nicknames that all the teams, the national teams have. Like there's about 3 different lionesses in their different languages. It's obviously a kind of the right name for a woman.
I was going to make a poor joke about being a rose between 2 thorns right now, you see, but I thought that would work. But it reminds me.
Leave it, Mark. Leave it.
Well, no, because it's in my head, because this exact situation happened was during the end of the Raj in India and all this kind of stuff, Muhammad Ali Jinnah was meeting Mountbatten and his wife, and they were standing to have a photograph taken, and Lady Mountbatten was standing in the middle, and he started to say, "It's lovely, you know, a rose between two thorns." But before he finished, she'd moved to the side, and he was the one in the middle. So he felt terribly embarrassed that he had made this judgment.
Brilliant. Dear.
It's a wonderful. I don't know if people listen to podcasts. A wonderful podcast at the moment called Empire by William Dalrymple and Anita.
Oh, yes. He's good. Amelia's post before was saying that she's thinking we're all going to have to read, everyone in Group H is going to have to read a German book pretty soon. So,
yeah, kein Problem.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, they have to be contenders to win the whole thing, don't they?
Definitely.
Yeah, Lafcadio O'Hearn is someone I'm familiar with. Deb, thank you. But yeah, I could, because he writes Japanese fairy tales and horror. Kwaidan, I think he translated, and some others. I think Sean Stanfast read back in November some ghost stories by him, and he was saying how surprised he was at how disturbing they were. You know, considering they're like, you know, quite old. So that's an eclectic list. I'm pretty sure the original Aladdin was Chinese, but later changed to Middle Eastern. Yeah. I have this.
You're right, Mark. Jenny's on your side.
Usually I'm, Roz. Usually I'm.
Yeah, absolutely. And if Jenny says it, you know, well, I'm going to
That's it. Jenny says it. Must be true. Zosha's here. Hello. Speaking of fairy tales, I'll be reading Anderson for Denmark. So there we go.
Like Alice.
But should focus on my country, China, first. Haven't picked anything. So pick fairy tales from China.
Yeah, sounds good.
Nancy says, any hope for Team Canada? My first Canada book I'm reading.
I think Canada are a strong team. Yeah. You know, they've got a good chance of that. There is a fair chance that more than just one group will have to read some Canadian stuff. If I wound up needing to, I've been meaning to read a book by Miriam Taves for about I don't know how many years. Like, people keep telling me how brilliant book after book by her is. I keep not quite reading.
I was saying earlier to my mum, I think I've mentioned Women Talking by Miriam Taves in about 4 different TBR videos now, and I still haven't read it. So exactly. I've got Canada on standby.
What have we got here? Book Tommy Ryan. Hey there. I have my first cricket practice tonight. A lasting takeaway from London. Because Ryan was visiting not long ago. Hello, Zap. Good to see you. Alan Center Rose. Amelia, I will be happy with whoever is going to win, but the German team might have a good chance.
Very good chance.
And Jenny, being typically Scottish, as long as England don't win, I'm happy.
I think Germany are surely are going to get to the final few, aren't they? So yeah, I imagine so. But Amelia's got to pick her book from Nigeria. But excited about the options. What are your exciting options, Amelia? Tell us more, because there's just so much choice from Nigeria, isn't there? Particularly for Anglophone readers like me, because there's there's lots written in English, even more so than other ex-British colonies in Africa, if you know what I mean. Like, there's more Nigerian authors just choose to write in English. I wonder, perhaps it's like in India. It's like, if you write in English, then you sell better because lots of people speak and read English as well as 1 or 2 other languages.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very populous country, and of course the
with multiple languages.
The middle class is much bigger as well, which means of course you know, that probably helps, and helps with international sales and things, I imagine. But it is interesting though. You embrace your stereotypes. Well, yeah, I hadn't noticed.
Yeah.
Deborah, I read Women Talking and found it hard to keep track of the characters.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, we'll see. That's probably the first critical comment I've ever heard of that book. So that's interesting. Yes, I'm when I was looking at all the different groups and which groups that you know, my group and where it's going, I was thinking, like, I really wish that I had like, I was envying some of the other groups for the range of choices, I suppose. I've got the USA in my group, and you know, it's obviously I'm going to be reading Absalom for Faulkner in August with Alan, as you know, so there's no difficulty with reading, you know, getting in an American book, but it's just not as exciting.
No.
Yeah, I mean, isn't there anything like in terms of, I don't know, indigenous women?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have read.
That could,
yeah, but I'm committed to Absalom. Actually, I just read this week Genderqueer by Maya. Oh, I've forgotten what her surname is. But so that's she's no, they. In fact, air are their air pronouns, and so that was a kind of really a different American sort of author to read, I guess. So, you know,
what was the other pronoun? A and
air.
Air.
Air. EIR. So instead of like he and,
so it's like there, but without a TH.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
It's a non-binary, but non-binary pronoun instead of they. But we're much more familiar with people saying they use they and their, but a and air was like, that was new, kind of new for me. But
I was going to say, I feel like a caveman sometimes when I hear these things, because it's like, I've never heard that before. I don't know. Oh my goodness.
Maya Kababi, that's it. Her surname. Her surname came back to me. Oh dear, that's terrible, isn't it? I'll just slap my own wrist.
So how does that work then? So instead of he, him, or she, her, air.
Yeah. So it works.
So
now
you use a when you should use she or
when
he.
you would have used she or he or they. Yeah.
Sorry, I know this might sound. I'm out of the loop. Seriously, in this country, none of this exists at the moment. Or if it does, it's not. You know.
And a Czech commenter, I think, was saying how tricky it is because you have male and female suffixes in the language. So it's not like you just change your pronouns to be gender neutral.
You have to change the language.
The whole language imposes non-gender neutrality. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it's like I guess in English where we had actor and actress, but it's set in and it's built then into the grammar.
Yeah,
it would make it very difficult.
Which, I mean, that must be very distressing if you know you that's not where you feel you sit. Yeah,
it's honestly completely never. I mean, obviously people like that exist for sure, but it's just you wouldn't know it. You know, I wouldn't. It isn't even discussed. There's been a little discussion about women, and they were talking about it in the parliament about dropping over from the names. But actually, in the end, I think a lot of women complained about it and said no, because it kind of gives them also the identity of being something different as well. So it wasn't seen as a negative thing, but you know, it's complicated, I guess. Jack, loving all the recommendations. Missed a bit of the chat as Mum called, and I'm watching on my phone now. I have to make dinner, but thanks to all the hosts for a great read along. Happy reading. And yes, I should have mentioned. I mentioned in the comments. course, Jack's not with us, Jack Rambling Raconteur, because he unfortunately has to work at the moment because they've gone back to school. I think teachers in England are breaking up like tomorrow or something, or today, whereas they've gone back in Arizona. So, but I'm sure he'll watch later. Amelia, oh, by the way, Jack, the other Jack, enjoy your dinner. Amelia, the death of Vivek, oi, butter honey, big bread, welcome to Lagos, speak no evil, and looking for trans wonderland.
Oh, so I've read Death of Vivek Oji and Welcome to Lagos, which were both really good. But I'm intrigued now by Looking for Trans Wonderland. I've got to go so I've heard of Butter Honey, but it's on my long-term TBR. But Looking for Trans Wonderland, I don't know. So I'm gonna go and look that one up now, Amelia.
And Jenny asks, would you have preferred a country with too much choice or a smaller country with tricky to find choices?
Good question. What about you two?
Maybe small with, I think it was Costa Rica. I just found like a compilation or anthology of short stories. Bingo, job's done. With Japan, there's like so much, and a lot of it looks like really good, and I can't choose which one. This is what the problem. I can't choose which one to read.
Yeah.
Alice?
I like the idea of having a more difficult one for like the adventurousness of reading something I've never read before. But the reality is I do try to do all these things like from the library if I haven't got something on my bookshelf that's suitable. So it's very constrained for me by what can I do through audiobooks or the library and or borrowing from my mum in the Hans Christian Andersen case. So I really do like somewhere where there's at least a few good options, and then I can narrow it down by how available those options are.
Do you not read ebooks, Alice? Or
no, I just can't get on with them. I've tried and tried. I'm not an ebook reader at all.
I'm a total convert to ebooks. I mean, I do read paper books as well, but it's just because my house is already full of books. So, I can do stealth book purchases of ebooks.
It would be highly dangerous for me to go into ebooks as well.
And also, you can make the font bigger, and you can read in the dark because I've got something that's got sort of mild backlighting, and it's just transformatory.
And to be honest, you can actually find a lot of books that are harder to find that you might not be able to, for example, buy on Amazon UK. You can always find them on the internet, whether legally or not, rightly or wrongly. In this case, I don't know, Roz. I think when it's something like this, where something can be really obscure, I think you can be a little bit forgiven.
No, absolutely. I mean, I always feel like, I want a writer to get something for me, consuming their thing that they've created, and and I know it, it may not be loads with an ebook, but they do still get. But there are some really good resources for things that are really obscure. I'm trying to think. It'll come back to me what it is, and I can recommend it. But basically, there's a sort of like I think it's called the Internet Archive.
Oh yeah.
And that where there are things that might be hard to get hold of, people have like made the effort to. It's a bit like there's Project Gutenberg that does out of things that are out of copyright.
Public domain. Works in the public domain.
So Project Gutenberg does things that are in the public domain. So that's free and that's great. But the Internet Archive, it's more like things that might not otherwise be available at all. And people have made the effort to put them in. And it's a really good place to find obscure short stories and so on.
A short story or like a short, like a novella or something, I could probably push myself to read it on an ebook. I think I read, for the last tournament, I read an Argentinian book that was a novella. I read that as an ebook, but I do find them very, very difficult to read.
Yeah.
It's actually a very good place, the Internet Archive, because they also have public domain works as well. And I don't know, when I did the original announcement video and I had that footage at the beginning with the 1920s women football team and the music, it all came from the Internet Archive.
Yeah.
Because they have like radio shows, anything you can imagine, old film clips, everything you need is on there. It is a great resource for public domain media. What else have we got here? Who answers the A are not even common here in the US. I've never heard of it until I heard about that book. Or rather, it's not common in the cis world, so I apologize if it's common. What is cis? What's the cis world? Cis?
That's
Yes.
cis. So the gender you're assigned at birth is the one that you identify with. So you're a cis man, I think. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, no. Well, I mean, I don't know. You could be trans, but I. Do you see what I mean? But cis means.
If I was born with male parts and identify as being male, then I'm a cis male.
Yes. Yeah. So the gender that you were assigned at birth, if you keep that gender, that you're cis.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I don't want to get into it. Does sound kind of weird to me a little bit, these things, because when you say words like assigned, you mean like because it's like the doctor says this child is male or female, or
and sometimes they actually. I mean, I think. Oh gosh, we're off onto a whole other topic.
I know it's a big tangent, but it's something very interesting to me.
Actually, there's people like we tend to go with visible sexual characteristics. Like does the baby have some sort of willy? Right, it's a boy. But actually, if you look at chromosomes, people, you get people that are XXY, or you get, so there are people that might have both a willy and a vagina, but they'll sometimes people traditionally have done surgery at that point to like just make this baby be one or the other, or so hence that's why it's easiest to say assigned at birth, because for most people it's obvious and they carry on being that because that's what they feel they are as well, but it's not as clear cut and binary as we're kind of led to assume.
Yeah, no, I get it, and when you say it like that I understand. But when you started talking about like the chromosomes, that in itself though does only give you, like scientifically, it gives you only two options, right? Really?
No, it doesn't. No.
But you can only have XX and XY chromosomes.
No.
You can have what?
But people who are like triple X, I mean, it can mean
triple
that
X.
You can have like you may have learning disabilities or whatever if you have it, but
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it another time, I guess.
Yeah, go and look it up.
But honestly, yeah, I will have to look it up. Well, what can I read that explains it?
Well, there are some good books around.
All right. Well, you can send me a Voxer. Send me a Voxer.
Amelia says that she's making a good recommendation for you.
Where are you? Mark, you have to read Gender, a Graphic Guide. I can highly recommend. So is it a graphic novel then? A graphic book?
Not graphic non-fiction, just explaining all this.
Gender. Otherwise, I'll never remember. A graphic. I'm a bit worried. It sounds, a bit like a graphic guide.
No, I think it's a deliberate joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll check that out. What have we got here? Elizabeth, neutral grammar is impossible in French too. I went to the supermarket is written differently, whether I is a man or a woman. But then I suppose if you're a woman, no, I don't know. If you identify as a man, but you don't have the man parts, can I say that? Then you could say whichever way you wanted then, really. It doesn't matter in French, right? You can speak as a woman, even though you're biologically a man, doesn't really make a difference in that respect. It's not like Czech where it's built in that it would become, super weird.
Yeah, but you can't choose something non-binary, so you're either Beau or Belle, aren't you?
Yeah. Okay.
You're not. There's not a non-binary alternative.
Well, there's masculine, feminine, neutral.
Yeah, but not for anyway. There we go. Interesting. Oh,
ebook purchases are dangerous. Just ask my husband, although I justify it as getting them on sale, so I'm saving dollars. Yeah.
Oh, the 99p
the Kindle 99p sale. Yeah.
Oh, magic.
That's when I'm glad that I don't have a Kindle, because I would just have so many books.
But also, though, the convenience which you don't get when you buy the physical books is the free stuff. All the public domain stuff on ebook, all the Jane Austens, I never like to recommend public domain works for works of translation necessarily, because it can be very archaic. But if you read English and speak English as your first language, all of the classics are free. You don't ever have to buy them. So it's kind of a good thing. Graphic nonfiction, it's fantastic, wonderful.
Yeah.
Nancy, the prefix cis is Latin and means on this side of. The term cisgender was coined in 1994 and entered into dictionaries starting in 2015. I had no idea. There we go.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I don't know. We've been going an hour. I don't know what you ladies have to do, but
we've got way off.
We have gone. That's the wonderful thing. It's a rabbit hole, no?
It is. It is.
So I guess we can. Sorry, go on.
No. We can wind up and wait for some real football to start, and then we'll have more to talk about.
That's it. We'll be in the Discord, I guess, tomorrow, making some comments. Possibly not Roz, because she's out earning the daily crust at that time, but I'm sure Alice and I will be around in our pajamas. Not together, of course, but we'll be around in Discord together in our pajamas. Your husband's not listening in the background, is he?
Yeah, he's just come in, actually.
Hello, Mr. Alice.
At that precise moment.
The story of my life, that would be in that. Yeah. So, wonderful. Okay, thank you so much, ladies, and thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Very excited. I can't wait. I don't know. Let's just have a quick prediction. Just with your heart, who's going to win the tournament, Alice?
Oh, with my heart. Oh, well, come on,
Lioness. It's easy with your heart, isn't it? Way!
I really want the Lionesses to win the tournament.
Yay,
but I don't think it's going to happen.
And is that because they've lost too many players since the Euros?
I think so. I think there's a lot of very young, very promising players coming into the team, but I don't think the team is quite as gelled as it was for the Euros. All right.
What about your head?
I think it'll probably be USA or Germany.
Okay. Roz, heart?
Okay, heart. Now, I'm just going to offend all my many American friends by saying I really don't want the USA to win again. They've won it so many.
No, I don't either.
It's like I don't feel it's good. It's good for the
it's
game.
Like Brazil in the men's, isn't it? It gets a bit boring after a while.
Yeah. So
someone else needs a turn.
Yeah. Yes, and possibly not Germany either. I'd be happy if Sweden won. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's with your heart and with your head? Like, if you're being really honest, who actually you think will win?
Oh, USA. No, I'm not thinking about that. I've deliberately picked Sweden because they're like in with the chance. So I can say heart and head I'm going for. Yeah. There you go. But I'd also be quite happy if Australia won, just because, it's always fun when the host nation wins. It creates great, or at least gets to the last stages, because you just get more atmosphere at the matches, don't you?
I think I'd rather New Zealand than Australia, though.
Oh, but it's not going to be New Zealand, Mark. Don't kid yourself.
No, and the Australian team, they are is it the Matildas? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a document. I need to watch it. I might watch it tonight. There's a documentary about them on Disney Plus, so I thought I will. Where they follow them around, so it should be interesting.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So there we go.
Everyone's saying Lionesses for the win, but which Lionesses? The Dutch team, they're Lionesses as well.
3 Lionesses.
Nancy's not offended, which is nice. And Laban will not be happy if Sweden wins. The Norwegian speak.
Nigeria for the win.
Right.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Do take care. Bye.